Chosen one, listen closely, because what's about to unfold isn't coincidence, it's revelation. God is pulling back the curtain. He's exposing what's been hidden in plain sight. Every lie whispered behind your back, every mask worn in false friendship, every quiet betrayal that tried to break your spirit. Heaven has seen it all. And now, divine truth is stepping into the light. You've felt it, haven't you? The unease around certain people. The sudden shifts in energy when you walk into a room. Smiles that don't reach the eyes. Words that sound kind, but carry a strange heaviness underneath. Your spirit has been picking up what your mind couldn't fully grasp because you were never meant to be blind to deception. You were chosen to see beyond it. This is not a season of confusion anymore. It's a season of revelation. God is saying, I am uncovering the truth so you can walk freely into your destiny. There are people who once walked beside you, who cannot go where you're going. There are hands that once applauded you that were never pure in their intention. And the reason their plans didn't prosper is because God was in the background protecting you from what you didn't see. The exposure you're witnessing, the sudden changes, the unexpected, reveals the shocking clarity. It's not chaos. It's cleansing. God is cleansing your circle, purifying your path, and exposing the hidden motives that were sent to delay your destiny. But here's what's even deeper. This exposure is not about revenge. It's about alignment. God is aligning you with truth, purpose, and purity. He's removing counterfeits and revealing those who are genuinely for you. Every revelation may hurt at first, but it's a divine surgery, cutting away what was quietly poisoning your peace. So if you've been seeing the truth about people, if you've been feeling isolated, misunderstood, or shocked by recent events, this message is for you. God is revealing the truth not to break you, but to build you. Not to shame your enemies, but to free you from the chains their deceit created. Take a breath, chosen one. What's happening isn't the end, it's the unveiling. And before this message ends, you will understand exactly why the exposure had to happen now. You've started to notice it, haven't you? The way everything that was once hidden suddenly begins to show its cracks. Conversations slip. True colors reveal themselves. It's as if the air itself is charged with truth, undeniable, uncontainable, unstoppable. That's because heaven has issued a decree. What was whispered in darkness is echoing in light. The divine courtroom has spoken, and the sentence is exposure. This isn't man's doing. It's God's orchestration. The same way dawn breaks, no matter how long the night tries to linger, so does truth pierce through the thickest deception. There comes a point when lies lose their power to hide. And that point right now is where you stand. The Spirit of God has been working quietly in your story, collecting every tear, every sigh, every moment of confusion that came from trusting the wrong hearts. Not one of those moments was wasted. Each one became a piece of evidence in heaven's hands. And now the Judge of all creation has ruled in your favor. When the Lord exposes, He never does it halfway. He pulls back the entire veil so that your eyes can see what His eyes have seen all along. He's not trying to embarrass anyone. He's trying to emancipate you. Because the truth once revealed doesn't just clarify who they are. It clarifies who you are. You've been walking in places where your light unsettled darkness. You've carried grace that exposed insecurity. And those who could not match your sincerity tried to shadow it with gossip and manipulation. But their words fell flat against the shield of divine intention that surrounds you. That's why even when it looked like their schemes were working, they couldn't destroy you because your name was sealed in purpose. Right now, heaven is whispering, don't mourn what I've removed. Marvel at what I'm revealing. Every relationship that ended, every sudden distance, every unexplained tension, it wasn't rejection. It was redirection. God was removing access from those who mishandled grace. And soon the truth will be so clear that even you will say, I understand now why it had to happen. There's a divine calm rising in your spirit, not because everything makes sense yet, but because the truth is finally aligning. This calm is your confirmation. This stillness is heaven saying, the war in the unseen has been won. So breathe. Let the revelations settle like sunlight after a storm. You don't need to chase answers anymore. They're coming to you one by one through signs, dreams, and divine encounters that will leave no doubt God has stepped into your situation, and what he reveals next will shift everything. And here it is, the unveiling. The moment when heaven's hand reaches down and flips the script. What was used against you will testify for you. What was whispered to damage you will echo back as proof of your anointing. The Spirit says, I am uncovering the web of deception that tried to entangle your destiny. Every secret plot, every manipulative alliance, every counterfeit connection, I am bringing it into the light. This revelation will not be gentle. It will come like lightning across the horizon, sudden, undeniable, illuminating every hidden motive at once. You'll start hearing stories you never expected to hear, watching truths unfold without effort. Emails, messages, coincidences, each one revealing what was meant to stay buried. But don't react. Observe. Because this exposure isn't a call to battle, it's the announcement that the battle is already over. The exposure itself is victory. It's heaven saying you've passed the test. Think of Joseph betrayed by his brothers, yet lifted to power precisely through their betrayal. Think of Daniel plotted against by envious men, but promoted because God used their very scheme to showcase divine favor. You stand in that same lineage of redemption. The betrayal was the stage, not the end. As truth rises, you'll notice something extraordinary: peace. The moment clarity comes, so does release. You no longer have to guess who's for you. Revelation will separate wheat from weeds. And though it might sting to see familiar faces revealed as false, the relief will be greater than the pain. Because what's really being uncovered is the strategy of heaven. How every wound, every lie, every misunderstanding became the soil for your growth. The enemy's whispers forced you deeper into prayer. The rejection strengthened your spiritual discernment. The confusion trained your ears to recognize God's voice. All of it prepared you for this hour. Now the prophetic clock strikes a new season. You're stepping into what can only be described as the season of clarity. No more second guessing, no more spiritual fog, no more carrying people God already released. Everything hidden must bow to light. Everything false must crumble under truth. And as it happens, you'll feel an internal shift, a release in your chest, a sudden sense of freedom that says, the chains have fallen. Yes, this is the prophecy. The ones who conspired will reveal themselves. The opportunities that vanished will reappear purified. The voice of God will speak louder than the voices of confusion. And the truth, divine, uncompromising truth, will become your new beginning. Stand still in this unveiling. You don't have to expose anyone. Truth is doing that for you. You don't have to defend yourself. Light is your defense. The same God who allowed silence will now amplify truth in ways you couldn't imagine. The stage is set. The curtain has lifted. And the spotlight isn't on your pain, it's on your purpose. Every revelation is a stepping stone toward the next glory. Walk through this exposure not as a victim, but as one vindicated by heaven itself. There's always a divine pattern in what God allows to be exposed. Exposure is never random. It's heaven's way of realigning truth and timing. When deception hides in the shadows, it begins to distort your perception, making you question yourself, your calling, even your worth. That's why God, in His mercy, doesn't let falsehoods stay hidden forever. He waits until you've grown strong enough to face them without breaking. And now, you're strong enough. This moment, this unveiling is not punishment. It's promotion through purification. God is saying, I'm not revealing this to shame you or them, but to show you what can no longer follow you into destiny. Because the new season you're walking into cannot survive on false foundations. Truth is the only structure that can sustain elevation. Spiritually, exposure is fire, not to destroy, but to refine. Just as gold is purified through heat, your circle, your purpose, your discernment are being purified through revelation. You're learning who's pure gold and whose surface glitter. You're learning what's rooted in covenant and what's held together by convenience. Every chosen one must face this refining fire before they rise. Moses had to see who was truly for him in the wilderness. David had to recognize Saul's heart before he could take the throne. Even Jesus had to face Judas before resurrection. So if you feel the sting of betrayal, understand it's not proof that you're abandoned. It's proof that you're being prepared. The betrayal was the seed. The exposure is the sprouting. The revelation is the harvest. This is how God works. He lets lies run their course until they can no longer sustain themselves. Then He breathes truth, and suddenly everything unstable collapses under its own weight. But you remain, because your foundation was never built on them. It was built on Him. The deeper meaning here is about spiritual sight. Exposure sharpens your vision. It teaches you that not every voice deserves access, not every smile carries sincerity, and not every open door is divine. Through revelation, you begin to discern energy, spirit, and motive before words are even spoken. This is where your spiritual maturity deepens, not through applause, but through awareness. The gift of discernment is born through disappointment. The gift of clarity comes after confusion. And the gift of peace arrives only when truth replaces illusion. You are being ushered into a higher realm of discernment, one where you no longer depend on appearances, but on the whisper of the Holy Spirit. From now on, you'll sense deception before it speaks. You'll feel dissonance before it manifests. And you'll know instantly whether a connection is divine or dangerous. This is God protecting your destiny through revelation. He's building in you a radar that falsehood cannot bypass. So when He exposes, don't resent it, revere it. Because it's a holy act of love. You see, truth and destiny always walk hand in hand. The moment you step into your purpose, truth becomes magnetic. It pulls revelation from every corner of your life. Nothing impure can stay hidden around a rising light. That's why some people can no longer look you in the eye. That's why some circles suddenly grow distant. Your light didn't change. Their comfort with darkness did. Let this awareness empower you, not isolate you. The exposure isn't rejection, it's refinement. It's God saying you are too anointed to be surrounded by deception. He's ensuring that when you rise, your atmosphere is clean, your spirit is light, and your company is divine. So when the truth comes, don't rush to react. Stand still, breathe, and let God finish His work. He is not just exposing what's false, He's establishing what's true. And when He's done, your peace will no longer be fragile. Your trust will no longer be misplaced. Your discernment will no longer hesitate. You'll know who you are, who's for you, and most importantly, who walks with you. That's the hidden beauty behind this divine unveiling. The truth doesn't destroy the chosen, it crowns them. Now that truth has entered the room, watch for the signs, because heaven never reveals without confirming. And when God begins to confirm, even the smallest moments carry divine weight. The first sign will be clarity without effort. Where confusion once clouded your thoughts, peace will suddenly settle like morning light. You'll stop replaying old conversations, stop overanalyzing people's actions, and simply know. You won't need explanations. Your spirit will recognize truth before your mind does. That clarity is confirmation. The second sign will be swift alignment. You'll notice how certain doors close immediately after revelation, while new ones open in perfect timing. Emails, messages, or opportunities will appear just as old connections fade away. Don't resist the shift, it's divine redirection. When truth rearranges your environment, it always makes space for destiny. The third sign will be unexpected peace in moments that once triggered pain. You'll revisit old memories or faces and feel nothing but calm. That's healing proof that the lie's power over your heart has been broken. The fourth sign will be divine exposure through conversation. Someone may accidentally reveal what's been hidden. A comment, a slip of the tongue, a confession, things you were never meant to hear suddenly surface. Don't react, just listen. God is using human lips to confirm divine truth. The fifth sign will be spiritual acceleration. Once truth is revealed, time seems to catch up. What was delayed begins to move quickly. Plans, ideas, and dreams start unfolding with ease because deception is no longer clogging your flow. That's how you'll know heaven has cleared the atmosphere. And finally, the sixth sign, perhaps the most powerful, will be a divine stillness that feels supernatural. No fear, no panic, no anger, just quiet strength. That's the presence of God surrounding you like armor. You'll feel untouchable, not prideful, but peaceful, because truth carries divine protection. So when these signs appear, clarity, alignment, peace, exposure, acceleration, and stillness, recognize them as heaven's fingerprints. They mean the unveiling is complete. They mean you're walking in divine confirmation. This is the reassurance your spirit has been waiting for. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. You were discerning correctly all along. Heaven is simply saying, now you see what I've always seen. Let that truth anchor you. You've crossed into a new spiritual chapter where nothing hidden can stand near your light. You're entering a reality built entirely on divine truth, and nothing will ever be the same again. But revelation, as freeing as it is, doesn't arrive without resistance. Every unveiling shakes what was once stable, because truth always disturbs comfort before it delivers peace. So don't be alarmed when the exposure brings turbulence. Some people will deny what's obvious. Some will rewrite history to protect their image, and others will vanish entirely rather than face the light. This is the cost of clarity. The moment you choose truth, illusion begins to crumble, and not everyone is ready to let go of their illusion. You'll feel the tension between old attachments and new awareness. Your heart will ache for what once felt familiar, even if it wasn't authentic. But that ache isn't regression, it's detox. There will be nights when you question whether it would have been easier not to know. Ignorance, after all, feels peaceful until the lie breaks you. But remember, God doesn't reveal to torment. He reveals to transform. The temporary discomfort of truth cannot compare to the lasting torment of deception. Another hidden challenge is silence. After exposure, it might feel like heaven goes quiet. You'll crave new answers, new directions, new clarity, but God will often pause the conversation so your spirit can process the revelation. It's not abandonment. It's absorption. He's letting truth settle deeply, like roots anchoring into new soil. And there's another test: loneliness. When deception falls away, so do the crowds that benefited from it. But solitude in this season is not punishment. It's preservation. God isolates to insulate. He's shielding you from contamination while your spiritual identity is being recalibrated. Lastly, beware of the temptation to prove yourself. When truth is revealed, Your flesh will want to speak, to explain, to justify. But silence in this hour is your strategy. Your stillness will speak louder than any defense ever could. Let your peace become your protest. So when the turbulence hits, don't panic. It's not the enemy winning, it's the old structure collapsing. Let it fall. The shaking is evidence that God is replacing what was false with what is firm. This is how the divine rebuilds, not on confusion, but on clarity. And once the dust settles, you'll see it clearly. Nothing lost was meant to remain. Now that truth has done its work, listen closely, because heaven never exposes without instructing. Revelation without direction leads to wandering, but revelation with instruction leads to restoration. The Spirit of God is whispering specific guidance for this season, and it comes in 3 sacred layers: your response, your posture, and your preparation. First, your response. Respond to exposure with gratitude, not bitterness. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it shook you. But you survived what others didn't even see coming. That's grace. Every truth revealed is proof of God's protection. So instead of asking, "Why did they do this to me?" begin asking, "Lord, what are you teaching me through this?" When you shift from reaction to revelation, you transform pain into power. Also forgive. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. Unforgiveness keeps you tied to the very lies you escaped. Let it go. Say it softly: I release them. I release myself, and I release what was. When you forgive, you cut the last string that connects you to deception. Second, your posture. Walk in humility, but not in hiding. Exposure doesn't mean shame, it means selection. God trusted you with sight because He knew you'd handle it with grace, not gossip. Stay silent when others try to drag names into the mud. The truth doesn't need assistance. Let your composure reveal your character. Remember, posture is power. How you carry revelation determines what heaven can trust you with next. If you remain faithful, grounded, and gracious, your discernment will expand and your authority will multiply. Third, your preparation. Every exposure precedes elevation. So begin preparing as if promotion has already been announced, because in the Spirit it has. Clean your space, organize your mind, release distractions. God cannot pour new oil into vessels still full of old residue. This is also a time to revisit your boundaries. Your spirit is more sensitive now, and your discernment sharper. Protect that gift. Guard your peace like it's sacred currency, because it is. If something drains you more than it feeds you, it's no longer part of your assignment. Lastly, draw near to God in quiet. Spend time in stillness, not just prayer filled with words, but listening. Because the next instructions won't come through noise, they'll come through nudges. A divine prompting. A sudden knowing. When your mind is still, heaven can speak without interference. So here's the pattern to follow. Receive, release, rise. Receive the truth without resistance. Release the past without bitterness. Rise into your calling without hesitation. The Spirit says, you have graduated from discernment to dominion. That means you'll no longer just see what's wrong, you'll have authority to correct it. You'll no longer just identify deception, you'll dismantle it. Your sight has become your sword. From this point forward, your obedience is your weapon. Do what heaven instructs, even if it feels small. Because small acts of obedience often unlock massive doors of destiny. So write what He shows you. Prepare for what He promised. And stand ready, because the exposure was not the end. It was the evidence that the next chapter has begun. Truth can feel like exposure, but it's really protection in disguise. When God reveals what was hidden, He's not just showing you faces, He's shielding your future. Every layer of deceit that falls away becomes another layer of divine armor around your destiny. You may have wondered why certain connections crumbled so suddenly. Why the people you thought you needed vanished without closure. Why doors closed even when your heart was pure. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection with protection. Heaven saw conversations you never heard. God intercepted attacks you never knew were planned. He rerouted your steps before you even realized danger was near. That's what divine covering looks like, silent, unseen, yet absolutely sovereign. Even now, angels are stationed around your path. You've walked through places where envy lingered, yet not a single weapon prospered. You've sat at tables where your name was mishandled, yet your spirit remained untouched. Because the hand of God has been resting upon you even in chaos. The Spirit of the Lord says, "Do not fear exposure. It is the evidence of my watchfulness. Do not mourn those removed. It is the proof of my mercy. I am fortifying your walls, cleansing your space, and marking you as untouchable in this next season. Even your silence is protected. God is guarding your words so that no accusation, no rumor, no manipulation can overturn your peace. He's covering your mind, shielding it from overthinking, from anxiety, from spiritual exhaustion. He's even protecting your emotions, ensuring that bitterness doesn't take root where beauty is meant to bloom. There will be moments when the warfare tries to whisper again, when doubt tells you that maybe you're still in danger. But you'll feel it, that stillness in your chest, that holy calm that says you're safe. That's your confirmation. That's divine assurance wrapping around your spirit like a gentle fire. So rest. You don't need to watch your back anymore. Heaven already is. You don't need to fight for vindication. Truth is already testifying on your behalf. You don't need to fear what's coming because the one who commands the storm is walking beside you. You are covered. You are sealed. And no counterfeit connection, no hidden agenda, no whispered curse can pierce the protection that now surrounds you. What happens after truth, after exposure, after cleansing transformation? The kind that doesn't just change your surroundings, it changes your soul. You begin to see differently. You love differently. You move with discernment, speak with authority, and carry peace like a mantle. Because once you've seen truth, you can't unsee it, and that sight becomes your strength. This next chapter of your life will not look like the last. You're stepping out of survival and into sovereignty. The fog that once surrounded you is clearing, revealing paths you couldn't see before. Divine opportunities, the ones that felt delayed, will now begin to find you. It won't be through striving. It will be through alignment. You'll notice divine timing moving with precision. Doors will open not by effort, but by appointment. Conversations will lead to confirmation. Even your delays will reveal design. That's the beauty of fulfillment. Everything makes sense in hindsight. And as the truth settles, something extraordinary happens within you, the return of trust. Not trust in people, but trust in God's orchestration. You'll no longer fear who's around you because you'll know who walks with you. You'll stop searching for validation in human words because heaven's approval already crowns you. Transformation also brings radiance. When lies fall away, your light intensifies. People will see peace in your eyes and not understand why. But it's because freedom looks like stillness. The same peace that once felt distant will now become your default state. Even your presence will shift atmospheres. Rooms will grow quiet when you enter, not out of intimidation, but reverence, because truth carries authority. Wherever you go, clarity will follow. And the very voices that doubted you will witness what God builds through you. Fulfillment doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives quietly, a deep breath after years of holding on. It's waking up one morning and realizing you're no longer heavy. It's walking into spaces that once felt painful and feeling only gratitude. It's knowing that what broke you actually built you. So let this be your declaration. The storm did not bury me, it baptized me. The betrayal did not destroy me, it defined me. The exposure did not end me, it empowered me. I am not a victim of truth, I am a vessel of it. The season of revelation is now transforming into a season of realization. What God promised you will begin to see unfold, not someday, but now. And when it happens, you'll understand that none of it was random. The delay was divine. The heartbreak was holy. The exposure was essential. Every step was preparation for fulfillment. You've been refined in the fire. Now, you will reign in the light. Take a deep breath. Let these final words sink beyond the mind, into the spirit, into the space where peace and power meet. Repeat them softly, like prophecy made personal. 1. I am protected by divine truth. 2. No weapon formed against me can prosper. 3. What was meant to harm me has made me holy. 4. I walk in clarity, confidence, and calm. Now pause. Feel the shift inside you, that subtle but unmistakable lightness. That's heaven confirming the battle is finished and the blessing has begun. The Lord bless you with discernment that never dims, with peace that surpasses understanding, and with protection that cannot be penetrated. May every false connection fall away gently, and every divine partnership find you swiftly. May the truth continue to guide your steps, even in the quiet, even when no one's watching. And may your heart remain open, not to deception, but to destiny. For this is the word of the Lord: you have seen what was hidden. You have endured what was meant to stop you. Now you will walk in what was always promised. You are stepping into days of revelation, redemption, and rest. The enemies who once plotted against you will watch from a distance, as the truth they feared becomes the testimony you carry. You will speak, and atmospheres will shift. You will walk, and doors will open. You will stand, and heaven will stand with you. This is your confirmation, your closure, your commissioning all at once. You have passed the test. You have kept the faith, and now the fulfillment begins. Go in peace, go in power, go in purpose, because when God reveals the truth, He always releases the promise.